Hey guys, what's up? It's Red Raven. I know it's been a really long time since I've done a video for you guys. I kind of got fed up with the whole thing and just kind of stopped doing it for a while. The Sytrus tutorial thing is scrapped. I'm no longer going to be doing that. What I am going to be doing is every so often I'm going to be showing you guys just my way of doing sound design, how I go about creating things. I'm not writing a whole lot of music anymore. I'm focusing mostly on sound design and sound creation. What I mean by that is using synthesizers and audio manipulation to make sounds and sound banks for my friends who produce. And basically, I'm the guy that would be making your Vengeance libraries. That's what I'm focusing on. I synthesize drums, everything. Today, what I'm going to be showing you is this distortion cab type of thing that I've rigged up in the effect version of Patcher using only default image line stuff. So any of you at home with FL Studio 11, because this is Patcher version 2, which came out in version 11 of FL Studio, which allows you to do all these cool things like create your own knobs and stuff, and it's very, very intuitive Patcher. So I'm going to run you through this, but first what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit play, and I'm going to play you this little loop that I set up to use while I was building this effect chain, and then I will run you through how I made it. So what we've got going on here is just as 3x OSC running a single saw wave. Oscillators 2 and 3 are not turned on right now. So it's just a single saw wave and then just a basic house drum pattern here. So what I'm going to play first is without the distortion on, and then I will turn on this distortion chain that I've rigged up in Patcher for you and play around with it a bit so do you see what these knobs are doing, and then I will open up this in map view and show you the guts and how I wired it up, so you guys can get to building your own effect chains and stuff like this inside of Patcher yourselves. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and hit play here. This might be a lot louder than my microphone channel, just a heads up. So yeah, here we go. Okay, so that's without the distortion effect on. Now I'm going to turn it on and let you guys take a listen. Okay, so you guys are getting the general idea. We may have clipped out a couple times there. I don't have a limiter running before the Edison that I'm recording all this audio in. So we probably clipped a couple times there, so I apologize for that, but this is just a quick how I did this. So I'm going to go ahead and remove my browser here because that's annoying. And then I'm going to full screen this and show you the map. So you can see I've got seven controls set up, 5 knobs and 2 sliders. These knobs I made in Control Creator, which is packaged with Image Line FL Studio 11. Basically all Control Creator does is make it super, super simple to make knobs and stuff, which you can load into Patcher and use like this. So these are just some knobs that I made, and you can hit this E for edit, right click these and change their style. So these are all types that I've made. You can change their size, all sorts of stuff. I'm not going to get into that side of it right now. What I'm going to show you guys is the effect chain. So I'm going to go ahead and maximize this and go to map. And it looks a bit intimidating, right? You've got all these lines going all over the damn place, and it's just kind of confusing, right? So what you can do is with these buttons right up here in the upper right hand corner, they say audio parameters and events. You can kind of filter out things. So events would be like MIDI data. This is loaded into a mixer slot, so MIDI data isn't going to be coming into this unless you route a MIDI out or something and set it up like that, which I have not done. So you could right click on this node and deactivate it. I just didn't. So turning that off isn't going to do anything, but if you turn this one off, you see all the red lines disappear. And if you turn this one off, all the yellow lines disappear. So what you can do is focus on what you're doing at that point in time. So the yellow lines are audio, okay? And that's all this is audio. Every yellow line on here is just the saw wave from 3XOSC being routed through different effects, okay? So you see coming from FL Studio, coming in through the mixers, what this is, I have it going out to two different things. You see I have it going over here to this, which is labeled dry volume. All that is a fruity balance. Fruity balance doesn't have a picture that loads in Patcher, and I haven't messed around with making my own picture of it to load. So that's just a fruity balance, as is this tube volume. That's just a fruity balance, and this, as it says, is a fruity blood overdrive. Everything else has a picture and you can tell what it is. But what I have it doing is I have it going dry. So if we go over here to the surface, you see this is my dry volume, okay? That slider right there is controlling the dry volume. Now you can't see that because I have the parameters, which is the MIDI controls mapped, hid right now. But besides going out dry, I have the audio going through this effect chain right down here at the same time. So this is a parametric EQ2, which I'm using as a bandpass filter. So if we go over here to the editors tab, these are all of the mixer slots, so to speak. So if we look at the one that's labeled bandpass, just like it is over here on the map, pull that down, that is what I am using to control what of the saw wave is going into the distortion chain. So you see it's being bandpass filtered, and then it's going into a wave shaper, an overdrive, a low cut filter, and then out to be mixed in with the original dry unedited signal, okay? So this is the bandpass. Now I have this set up with two controls. I have the cutoff and the resonance. So if I quickly link these up to my controller, oh, they already are. So if let me see here. Okay, yeah, there we go. So now I'm controlling everything on this with my controller that I have already set up for this, apparently. And sometimes it won't work, so you hit play and then stop, and then the links will work again, like the dry volume there, which keeps cracking out. Alright, but anyway, so you see I can move the cutoff and the resonance from my controller here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump to the editor here, and you can watch this parametric EQ as I play with what is the cutoff. This is the cutoff being modulated. So you can see I can move the band pass from low frequencies all the way up to the high frequencies, and then if I play with the resonance, you can see I have it set to control the resonance of both frequencies, bands 1, 4, and 7 is the way I have it set up. But you'll notice on the resonance, when I turn the resonance wider on band 4, that bands 1 and 7 actually get narrower. Okay, which means I'm inverting the signal. And as I get bands 1 and 7 wider, band 4 gets narrower. See that? Now, how I set that up is over here in map. I'm going to go ahead and hide the audio chain. I'm going to bring up my parameters. You can see all of these red lines come up, and it looks a bit intimidating. But this surface is the same as this surface tab. So if you hover over this dot up here in your FL Studio readout box underneath your file, edit, and all that stuff, if you hover over it, you see cutoff. That's because this knob is named cutoff, which means this node links the cutoff knob to whatever you drag it to over here, okay? So if you bring in a parametric EQ, all of these red dots aren't going to be there. You can bring those up by right-clicking, going Input, Parameters, and then selecting them this way. Now, in the original Patcher, that was the only way to turn those on. In Patcher 2, there's a simpler way. You go to the Editors tab, you right-click on the knob, and you hit Activate, and that opens up this red dot to link it to a control, okay? So you can see, from cutoff, I'm going to a few different things here. I'm going to an XY pad, which if I bring that up, All I'm using that for is to scale it. So you can see X, the minimum is 0, but the maximum that it will turn up is to about 50%, and that's for band 1. So if I turn the cutoff all the way up, band 1 sits at about the middle of the equalizer. So that's what this XY controller does. It's not actually doing anything with the XY pad. I mean, you can, but the way I'm actually running it, that's not the way I have it set. See, after I played with that, my controller broke, but you just hit play stop to fix that. So you can play with it as the XY pad to control it, but that's not the way Patcher is the most efficient. You can make your own control surface to control multiple plugins. So that's what the XY pad is doing, is it's scaling. X is for band 1, and Y, you'll see the minimum turned up, but the maximum is all the way. That's for band 7, and it's going directly to band 4, so whatever the cutoff knob is at is directly related to what band 4 is. So you see, if I turn the cutoff all the way up, band 4 goes all the way over. If I turn it down, band 4 goes all the way down. But with the bandwidth, the way I get it to invert is with this, a formula controller, which I've labeled signal inverter. And what you do is very simple. The formula controller confused me a lot at first, but once you use it just a few times, it just becomes incredibly simple. So the only formula I'm using is 1 minus A. So that means whatever A is, if A goes up, this output signal goes down. So if I turn A down, you see the output bar goes up. Okay, so that's what's controlling the resonance on these. That's what's allowing me to, when band 4 gets wide, band 7 and 1 get very narrow. That's what's doing that, is this. Okay, so that's those controls. Now the low cutoff is simply controlling this EQ down here at the end of the distorted chain with some scaling, I believe. No, just directly. And what that's doing is, hang on here. So yeah, there's my knob. So if I do the cutoff, you can see I can low cut the entire chain. So the only band I have activated on this EQ is band 1. And you can actually save CPU in Patcher by turning off the monitor, because you're not going to be looking at it really. You're going to be playing with the surface mostly. So you can save some CPU by turning off that monitor, which I've already done on the band pass, you can tell. But you'll notice I'm only low cutting the distorted signal. So you see I have a dry version of the saw wave bypassing all of these effects to be mixed back into the signal later. So I can low cut just what's distorted. So when you do distortions, a lot of the low end gets muddy. This low cut lets me clean off that and mix it back in with the dry saw, or just run it straight distortion. Okay, so the distortion pre is linked up to the wave shaper and the blood overdrive here. Now the blood overdrive is being scaled just with an XY controller, just like I am for the filters, so that when the pre knob is all the way up for the wave shaper, the preamp on the blood overdrive is only part of the way up. And then the mix is just this knob here on the wave shaper, how much of the wave shaper is being applied to the distorted signal is what this is. And then you just have your volume knobs. So you can, this is your purely dry signal. If you had it just like this distortion would be completely bypassed. Or if you did it this way, the dry signal would not be heard at all, and it would be purely the distorted signal. Or you can get a blend of the two, which is what I like to do. Okay, and then what you can do is you can hit enter, which will bring this out of full screen, and you can drag this up to the size you want. Okay. And then over here in your mixer, you can right click on this and name it whatever you want. You see I've named it Raven Distortion. You hit enter. And then if you can file, save this preset. I've already done this, but I'll do it again. Raven Distortion 1, 1 is what I'll name it. And then if I go over here to any other mixer track, and I load a patcher, and I open that preset, Raven Distortion 1.1, you'll see it names it what I right-clicked and named it over here. Now, if I hadn't right-clicked and given it a name over here in this mixer slot, this would not be there. So if I just erase that, and I hadn't, it would be called Patcher. But if you right click and give it a name, so you see I've got it, it says just that it's Patcher. If I load this preset again, you'll see now it's called Raven Distortion. So that's really cool. And that's one of the ways I use Patcher. Actually, I use Patcher that way quite frequently. Some of the other effects that I've rigged up in Patcher are like boxes, which are essentially the same thing, just much more complicated than this one. If we look at this map just really quickly, you see there's a lot more going on than this distortion box I just showed you. I'm not going to show you that one today. That one's a very complicated patch that I built over several days. This one is just a few hours of me building a simple effects change, adding in some knobs that I can right click and draw automation clips for, and that will scale all of these knobs to all of these plugins. So instead of having like 100 automation clips, which are all essentially the same line, just being scaled, you can do it all in Patcher, and it's incredibly simple. So that's all I'm going to show you today, and I'll play you out with this little groove, okay?